Hello there, I'm Mike Creevy for Homeschool Connections, and with me today is Alison Stanley to talk about her Homeschool Connections courses. Alison, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mike, for being here with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I've been asking everybody right off the bat just to share maybe a little bit about your own background, your own training, your own interests, and especially whatever really led you to Homeschool Connections in the first place.
All right. Yeah. Well, Mike, I graduated Michigan State University with a business degree and found out that sales really wasn't my thing. So I ended up going to law school and graduated from University of Michigan with a law school degree. And I just fell in love with the Constitution. I mean, it's that
Hmm.
simple. I had a constitutional law class. I just loved it. In fact, I still keep in touch with my constitutional law professor. And then I homeschooled my own children and I met Maureen. And all of you guys may be familiar with her. And so one day I was just at her house and she said, "Oh, I've got to monitor a class." I said, "What are you talking about? Can I watch you do that?" And she said, "Yes, you can." And I watched her do it and I said, "I want to teach for Homeschool Connections." This was in 2012. And she said,
Wow.
"Okay, you can teach." I said, "I'd love to teach a law class. I mean, I'd love to be able to share my knowledge with the homeschool community. I like to use original sourcing and not textbooks. So I thought that would be a perfect kind of class to present different Supreme Court cases or talk
Sure.
about government." She said, "That's great, but you have to teach a civil a middle school history course." And we went back and forth, and I decided I was going to teach Civil War, which that's my second passion, history.
Okay.
And so it's kind of evolved. So Maureen told me I could teach a middle school history class. I did. I eventually kind of also got into teaching government and constitutional law at Homeschool Connections. So now I teach middle school history and some government high school courses. And it's also
Wonderful.
kind of morphed now into middle school civics courses. So I have a
Hmm.
2 semester middle school civics course that I'll be teaching coming up this fall. This is 2023 for those of you watching it. And that's been very successful and very challenging for the students. But yeah, these are just my passions. And now I also have another job. I'm an attorney for an insurance company, but really teaching is my passion, Mike. I just love it.
Wonderful. Well, and along with that, I've been kind of asking some folks too. Is there anything in particular, and it might depend on the different courses, but anything in particular that students could kind of look forward to in courses you teach in particular, like an approach you use, or something you really enjoy doing in the classroom in your own sort of way that would be a unique experience for them.
Yeah, so in every project or in every class I teach, I assign a final project. And true to my lawyer roots, the final project is graded on how many hours you've spent on it because I have different levels. If I'm teaching a middle school course, I have sixth grade up to eighth grade, and there's different abilities for
Hmm.
those grades. High school 9 to 12, once again, different abilities. So they pick a topic that really interests them. So if it's like a civics class, it could be you would look at bias in the media and you would have to review a different sources with the same issue and figure out what biases each source had.
Sure.
Or you could interview a judge, or you could I've had students write legislation. For my
Hmm.
history projects, I've had them pursue, it's more like just an independent study. And I really like doing this with middle schoolers, Mike, because they learn how to budget their time. So if they want to go into college, they'll know, okay, I have this project coming up. I can't start it the night before.
Hmm.
They see that, well, maybe the first 2 hours of my 6 hours, I didn't even do anything like a substantive. I was just either researching or hitting dead ends.
And
And
that's
so
so
I feel,
important, though, too.
yeah, but I thought that that's super important for them to
Yeah.
understand. A lot, some of my students have ended up spending 20 hours on it because they've loved to do the project so much. It's something they're proud of. They share it with their families. And then they also, if they take my class live, I let them share it with the other students. I've had some pretty exceptional projects. One of my students converted his garage into a World War I trench, and
Whoa.
it was pretty cool.
Wow.
Sand, and yeah, it was really neat. I've had kids go backyard, chop down a tree, make a stool. I had another student trace in my Civil War class, trace his lineage back, found out who fought for the Union, who fought for the Confederacy. So that was kind of a neat
Wow.
project. So Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to inspire them in something and so the reason I just put an hour time in is it can be on anything they like, that what they want to learn about. If it's weapons, they can learn about that. If it's cooking, I had a girl knit me something that was original to that time period. So I really want them to just hone in and really fall in love with the subject.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's funny how that works too, because when it's important, I think, to follow that inspiration, that passion. And it's funny you should mention Civil War, because I just had a flashback to my undergrad, where I majored, in Civil War and Reconstruction was my history thesis, and
oh,
senior year
wow.
of college. And it's just funny because, like, to so many people it would seem so utterly boring, as I'm sitting there thrilled, like sitting on the floor in the stacks with like a 10-foot stack of the official records of the War of the Rebellion, just like reading, like, oh man, that's a letter that like Lee wrote to Longstreet. Like, that's so cool. So,
Well, and
you
in my
know,
classes, I really believe, like I mentioned earlier, in original sourcing. So, for instance,
yeah,
you're going to take a Revolutionary War class of mine. You're not going to read this like little thing I found on the internet about the Revolutionary War
right.
textbook. You're going to read the deposition transcripts of the anonymous witness and Captain Preston. You're going to see that history is different when you see it through different eyes. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to point out the similarities and differences, and then you see that history is really, I mean, when it's conveyed in a textbook, it seems this is how it happened, but there could be different witnesses that saw it differently, and I really
Mm-hmm.
want students to understand that. So,
Yeah.
and they usually really enjoy it. They really enjoy
Sure.
it because it's not just a textbook type class. And if you're going to learn, I teach the Declaration of Independence. I teach that like a breakup letter. They understand all the parts, and at the end, they get it. In my civics class, we go through every amendment of the Constitution in the first semester, and then my second semester we go through, I mean, every article, I'm sorry, in my first
Mm-hmm.
semester of the Constitution, and then in the second we go through every amendment, and they study all the cases, even in middle
Sure.
school. They're going to study
Wow.
Fourth Amendment cases, Second Amendment cases. They're going to learn about what the court has had to say about homeschooling, even if there's cases about that. We talk about different abortion cases. So
Mm-hmm.
the middle schoolers can handle it, and
Wow.
so can the high schoolers. The high schoolers, I make the cases, I go through and I abridge them. So I maybe give them a little bit more than the middle school, where I abridge it into a much more condensed
Sure.
version. But yeah,
Wonderful.
I feel like they're very challenging courses, but all my students end up doing really well because I always say I give you difficult material, but I'm an easy grader. I'm trying to get them to really love the subject.
And
And
it's a really worthwhile set of endeavors, things that will really pay dividends, I think, down the road. It sounds
yeah,
like, for them. Yeah.
and I want them to be participants in our society civically, as well. I know that one student wanted to interview a representative, and that representative wasn't getting back to them. So I called and I said, "Hey, look, I'm trying to get a student really excited about politics." And so then he did a video on his webpage to that student with all the questions that
Oh,
student
wow.
had. So that
Oh,
was
that's so
really neat.
cool.
Yeah. I want them to be passionate about learning,
Yeah.
because I am. So hopefully when they
Absolutely.
take my classes, that's what they'll gain. They'll see my
Well,
excitement when I teach. I get really
absolutely. I
excited.
can sense it now. We all can here. So, well, thank you so much, Allison. Anything else you want to share about, if students or parents want to learn more about the courses, learn more about you, reach out and hopefully take some of these courses.
Yeah, I do have a book. Why do I need to learn this? So you can try to find that. I have
Yeah.
a chapter on, I know that if you're Christian or Catholic, you want to know the Bible in and out. But when you're a citizen of the United States, you should get to know the Constitution. And I talk about some layers of that. So that's one way you can get to know about a little bit my philosophy. Otherwise, just visit my Moodle page.
Yeah.
My email is allystanly5@gmail.com. I think that's on there. If you have any other questions, I'm always available to talk to parents and students. In fact, I really enjoy that part of the class. So
Absolutely. Well, Alison Stanley, thank you so much for stopping by today and sharing with us all about your Homeschool Connections courses.
thank you.
Yeah. God
Bye.
bless you.
God bless too.